How's it going, guys? The Saint Gamer here. I want to give you a talk about E3 and Xbox situation, kind of an update. Received some more information that came out since the time I pulled out my last video, and just wanted to talk about it. And my mindset has kind of changed a little bit, and have some different opinions. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, everybody knows that Phil Spencer is hyping up this E3, saying that they're focusing on more big time, titles and Xbox One exclusives. And it sounds really nice and everything like that, but when it comes down to it, these exclusives could be indie games, which there's nearly nothing wrong with indie games. I mean, Ori and the Blind Forest is a very good game, and it's considered an indie game. But at the same time, people have a tendency to expect big things from when they mean Xbox exclusives like Gears of War and things like that, not necessarily indies. So, nobody's quite sure what they mean by, focusing on Xbox exclusives. I understand Microsoft has quite a bit of money, quite a bit of revenue to spend towards exclusive games and things like that. But at the same time, I don't see them having that many AAA exclusives to show, and the reason why I say that is because at the same time, they don't know, especially if they're new AAA titles, new exclusives, they don't know how they're going to be perceived by the masses, so it's kind of hard to put out the money towards it if nobody really, it's the first time somebody playing the game. Sony has also had some information since I made my last video, and they've pretty much said that they're not going to have that many first-party titles in AAA games. They're just not. Which, like I said, that's to be expected, to be honest with you. Like I said, Sony is kind of in a financial bind still. They're still trying to figure out ways to turn a profit a lot more. PlayStation alone is not enough to keep them afloat. Even though they have mass majority of gamers on their console, it's just not enough, because like you said, you're trying to find a balance of putting money towards AAA games but also putting money towards bettering the company itself, and it's kind of hard to do that when you're still struggling to make a profit as a whole as a company. I don't have my hopes up. I really don't. For one, everybody can say, graphics is not everything. It's all about the gameplay. I do agree to an extent, but right now we're to the point where at least 1080p 60 frames per second, native 1080p with anti-aliasing in these games should be the bare minimum. The bare minimum. But right now it's kind of hard to find games that are 1080p 60 frames per second. It's hard to find games that are 1080p 30 frames per second. So, I'm sorry, but the expectations should be 1080p 60 frames per second with these consoles. And PlayStation, they're pushing the developers to make the prettier game, but yet the game performance on these games are not that great. I don't know if it's because of lack of optimization and they don't have as good of SDK kits as Microsoft, which that could be very much the case. But at the same time, Microsoft is still not coming out with too much, and they've updated their SDKs quite a bit. Even with DirectX 12 and things like that, it's not going to be that big of a difference. I'm really anxious just to see what Microsoft and what direction they are going with this E3. I just hope it's not some of the same games that were announced and shown at E3 last year. I think they should go ahead and save that for Gamescom, and E3 just go out and show what they have new to offer. And then Gamescom, you can come back out with Quantum Break, see and show everybody how it's coming along and things like that. But for the most part, I honestly think they should just stick to the new exclusives and the new advantages the Xbox One is going to have over the PlayStation, because right now they still have to try to get the mass majority to be convinced to buy an Xbox One. You know, cheaper price and things like that is nice and all, but surveys prove themselves that resolution is one of the bigger things also. You know, and only time will tell with this. Honestly, I'm looking forward to see how serious Microsoft is to implementing cross gaming between PC and Xbox. I understand that there's some games that would not be the best for that because keyboard is optimal. But why not do an update and make the Xbox One use keyboard and mouse also? I understand that you may not be able to get the frame rates and everything like that like you would on the PC, but what you could do is just make it to where it's locked at 60 frames per second on both sides. That way it's just a fair playing field. I don't think PC gamers as a whole would have an issue with that as long as the game itself is at least 60 frames per second and it's a very good game. That would be pretty neat. I'm curious to see what games they have coming out for PC, if that's going to be the case. If it's just strictly showing that Xbox One and PC, you will have, you know, a couple games that you could play on either or. I mean, that's not really too exciting to me because at the end of the day, I'm going to always prefer the PC over the Xbox One. Just for the simple fact that if it's going to be on the more superior platform, why would I buy it for the Xbox One? It's not to be arrogant, it's just stating the facts and the truth. And I would assume everybody else would have the same expectation, especially if you can afford it, you know. But that's just my opinion on it as of right now with the information that we have received. I just not really, you know, I don't have too many high hopes for it. I really don't. I think E3 is going to be another letdown. I feel as if people are going to still be upset with Microsoft just because of I think they're making their meal too big for the plate and it's starting to run over a little bit. And I'm not saying that they won't have games. I'm just saying the quality games and the majority of the games I believe will be indie games. I just truly believe that. For them to say they have as many exclusives as they have, it's going to be surprising to see. And even with that, I'm not going to be looking forward to these games if they're not going to be 60 frames per second, 1080p. If they're going to still be subpar resolutions and be 720p and, you know, 792p and 900p, I'm sorry, I'm not going to waste my money. I'm not going to give you $60 for a inferior resolution. Honestly, I would stick to 360. I mean, honestly, I understand that the games may not be on the 360, but you're getting on par graphics, especially with 720p. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. So, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. You know, if resolution is a big priority to you, or if it's not, and it's gameplay. At the same time, you realize gameplay has to do with the frame rate also, and frame rate stability. And let me know why you feel as if resolution is not that big of an issue, and why it's not that big of an issue with this generation. Because to me, it should be. You know, with the 360, each game that came out, we always anticipated the graphics becoming better, especially with Call of Duty, especially with Gears of War and Halo, and it always did. With these generations, it seems like we're kind of at a standpoint where what we see is what we get. Maybe better frame rate stability, but that's it. As far as resolution and stuff like that, we're kind of stuck with what we have. So, you know, that's kind of unacceptable to me. If I'm going to buy a product, I want to get the best out of that product. I don't want to feel as if that product is actually worth the value of what they're selling that product for. You know, and right now I don't feel that way. The UI still is pretty buggy. It just doesn't give me that next generation feel. I mean, it really doesn't. So, like I said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Peace.